everybody. This is Brian David Marshall coming to you from Magic Weekend Paris. I'm here with Player of the Year contender, Brad Nelson.
Sounds so good.
Brad's got some unfinished business to resolve this weekend with Guillaume Matignon. I'm holding in my hand the standard deck that he's going to be using to battle for 4 of the 7 rounds in the Player of the Year showdown. It's the same deck you played in the main event
at Worlds.
How did it fare for you?
I went 3-3 and I lost a match to a bad matchup, lost a match to misplays, and I lost a match to not drawing enough lands.
So playing the Caw-Go deck from Worlds.
Yeah, but it was a good choice, and Kibler went 6-0 with it, and I think it was the right choice, and I mean, it got a lot better with Besieged.
So you're back with Caw-Go here. How did it do for you on day 1 of the Pro Tour?
3-2, lost a match to Mulligans, and I lost a match to misplays.
Okay. Let's take a look at the deck and see what new things Mirrored and Besieged brought to the table. Let's get this out of the way right up front, right?
We have some tech.
But, you know, this is... I'd like to do a deck tech today that doesn't have 4 Jace, but, you know, that's where we're starting. When you're talking about a blue-white control deck, how important is Jace to make that happen? It's
unbelievable. Like, it does everything a deck like this wants. It cycles around the cards and gets you the answers you need, plus it does everything. Like, everyone knows Jace is good. I don't need to explain it.
Right, but it's not your favorite Planeswalker.
No, it is not.
This is.
Yes.
What do you love about Gideon Jura so much?
Gideon does things that no other card in Magic give you the chance to do. Like, I made Ornithopters that with no abilities attack me so I could get in with swords today. You know, like, it just does things that nothing else has done before.
Right. So putting the Caw in Caw-Go is, of course, the Squadron Hawk.
Yep.
And Squadron Hawk obviously has some interaction with Jace My Sculptor. We talked about that in Chiba when we interviewed Brian about this deck. Yeah. You know, you can sort of shuffle some back in.
When you're doing that, you're already ahead. Like, it doesn't happen a ton. It's just the upgrade to Wall of Omens in the deck to give you some blockers to give you time.
Right. So now this is the new part of the Caw-Go deck.
Yeah.
So this is Stoneforge Mystic.
Yep.
Yeah, we've seen this in like Boss Naya way back in San Diego, right?
Yeah. This really makes this deck kind of like a fish because it gets to go aggressive against Valakut. Like, our threats are 2-drops now, where we used to only be able to get them with Colonnades and Gideons and have to control the whole game. But Stoneforge Mystic now lets us go aggressive sometimes. And
the card you're most often getting is I assume, this card right here, the sword.
Yeah. Brand
new sword. This was a hot ticket item this weekend. People were buying a lot of these. Tell us why this card is so good.
Well, backed up by counter spells, you can play a Stoneforger Mystic, bring it into play with Spell Pierce or Preordain mana for turn 3, and then equip it and attack. It forces Valakut to have to play aggressively because they're discarding all their cards. Plus, you get to untap and counter magic. Plus, you can play your Planeswalkers and untap. It does everything that Valakut doesn't want you to be able to do.
Right. So it just you're never really tapped out on their turn.
Yeah.
You're making them discard. You're getting in for a lot of damage on top of that.
And you're going proactive because, like, the whole fear is, you know, you want to play Planeswalker against them, but then they just Primeval Titan you. So you can't ever do that. But this allows you to be able to play a Walker, get way ahead on board, and be able to counter their spells.
So in the control matchups, you tutor this up.
Yes.
But now a lot of people were worried about aggro decks coming into this red. They were worried about the Tempered Steel decks, about Kuldotha red decks, about vampires. So you guys have this sweet little piece of tech right here. I don't think this is a card that was on many people's radar.
No, it wasn't on our radar till a couple days ago. Like, I mean, I don't even play that card in Limited anymore. It works very well. Like, the most important thing was we had a tough time with vampires, and what it does is it makes your Squadron Hawks bottle gnomes that also kill all their guys. The extra power and the life is just so relevant against vampires.
So they attack with, a Vampire Lacerator. Yeah. You get to trade. You go up 3 life in the process.
And Highborn doesn't become a all-in fireball anymore.
Right. It's just very difficult for them to get you. Okay, let's talk about some of the other cards. Just run through the deck. Spell Pierce. This has become like the go-to counter spell for a lot of these control decks, right? It used to be like 4 mana leaks all the time, but now we're seeing almost always, 4 Spell Pierce. What's so great about that card?
It works well with this deck's mana issues because you have 2-drops that are threats. So, like, you can go 2-drop, you can go like Hawk counter where you can't do that with mana leak, and but more importantly, it's how the metagame's evolving. Like, all the aggro decks, it's so hard to counter them anyway. So it's better to have counterspells that are good against the control decks, and it'll be easier to spell pierce an aggro deck on the draw than it is to like mana leak them. Actually,
Sure. I mean, which is not to say that there are not
Oh, yeah.
mana leaks available to you. You have 2. You have 1 Deprive.
Yeah, it's the same counter suite as we had.
Sure, and 2 Stoic Rebuttals. Okay, so what's a blue-white control deck without 4 board sweepers?
Yeah.
Day of Judgment. I'm not seeing a lot of decks playing 4 of these.
Yeah.
Why 4?
Well, our main deck is actually really good against Valakut nowadays, and so we cut all the journeys and the condemns that we used to have. And I mean, this was Kibler's idea, which I really love, because we get rid of all the removal, the 1-for-1 removal, and we just play 4 Day of Judgment. So that's your game plan. Game 1 is to Lifestaff or Day of Judgment aggro, and it usually is just enough.
And you will Day of Judgment like a Lotus Cobra, right? If you need to.
I mean, I hope I get more value than a Lotus Cobra, but if that's the right call, I will make it. I won't get greedy.
Okay. Now here's a card. We were talking to Shaheen Sorani earlier, and he was talking about his sort of disdain for Preordain in blue-white control decks. But I mean, you have 4 here. I mean,
Yeah.
how good is this card in this type of deck?
I can see an argument. I'm not going to say it's right, but I can see why a person would argue against Preordain, because it makes the deck more fluffy and less spell dense. But this deck is a very proactive deck with a lot of strategies on turn 2. So you want to be able to have better chances at these cards. Plus,
And nothing else to do on turn 1 other than a spell pierce.
and well, I mean that's not the big issue. But the best thing that Preordain does is it makes your sideboard cards better than your opponents, because you get a chance to find them more often. And sideboard cards are so important in a lot of matchups. And I mean, if Valakut was able to Preordain up its Thruns and its other really good cards against me, I'd have a rough chance. But I get to look at a lot more cards than they do to find the answers that I need.
Okay, so let's just quickly run through. We've got the 12, the set of 12 blue-white lands. The alternate win condition in the Celestial Colonnade, the Seachrome Coast.
I'm not gonna lie, I love attacking with that card.
Really? Is that your preferred win condition?
Yeah. Well, I mean, winning is my preferred win condition.
4 islands. Then we got 4 plains. And then 2 fetch lands.
Yeah. The fetch lands don't really come up too often, but sometimes you Jace and you really want to be able to shuffle away 2 cards when you don't have a chance to play Stoneforge or Squadron Hawk. So, I mean, they might not be needed exactly at 2 is the number, but that's what we felt comfortable about.
Okay, and then finally 4 Tectonic Edge.
Yeah.
Just
Creeping Tarpets, Valakuts, yada yada.
just good stuff. And then we'll do a quick run through your sideboard here. A couple flash freezes.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. Kibler is the one that designed the sideboard. I had to run in here with 5 minutes to spare because I kind of got lost in the city.
Yeah, I vaguely recall that. So
Yeah.
I've also learned never to follow your brother.
Yes, you don't. I thought I was following BDM to the site when we found out we were following my brother, which was taking us in the opposite direction. And so we had 5 minutes to get here. So I came in, said, "Kibler, tell me what we're doing." And he showed me the 15 we're playing.
So yeah, flash freeze, another deprive. When sort of body mind? Where are you swapping swords? You're bringing in both swords.
We never swap swords. I guess the Sylvok Lifestaff comes out, but the second sword gives us a lot of flexibility against Valakut and blue-black, blue-white control decks. Sometimes you want to get different swords in those matchups. Plus, having 2 swords against Valakut is really good against them, like Racing Thruns and Gaia's Revenges. Just because you get to attack and you get a guy to block, and milling them's pretty important. So,
Talk about Oust. I've been hearing stories about ousting people ousting their own Squadron Hawks.
yeah, Brian's done that. I ousted my Elspeth token to get out of lightning bolt range, but I didn't get to do a hawk yet. That'd be pretty cool. I did get to my opponent that kept Goblin Guide Mountain. I got to triple oust them, so he never drew a second land. So he just kept putting a Goblin Guide into play and attacking me for 2, and I kept ousting it. So it's a really good removal spell because it's proactive against the green creatures, where like Fauna Shamans, Lotus Cobras, Oracles, and Overgrown Battlements that don't attack you. It's just a great removal spell for them.
Okay. A little Mirrored and Besieged reprint here, Divine Offering.
Yeah, I keep bringing up his name, but Kibler forced us to put those in because he said, and quote, It's the second set of a artifact set. I want to kill them.
So knowing that that's what people are going to be bringing to the table.
Not even knowing it is, but just it's smart because people probably are bringing artifacts.
All right, and then we'll wrap it up with 3 Ratchet Bombs.
Yep.
Again, something you're bringing in for the more aggressive
red.
decks. Yep. Baneslayer Angel, a card that is very closely associated with Brian Kevlar, but
And you only need 1.
and not as closely associated as Elspeth. 1 Elspeth in the sideboard, of course. So this is the deck you're going to play against Guillaume.
Yeah.
You go play 5 more rounds of this also in the Pro Tour.
Yes.
Happy with it?
I'm very happy with it.
Any changes you would make if someone was going to bring this to their Friday Night Magic? Or
Not yet. Not a card so far. I really like all 75, and I think it was really well positioned for this tournament. I haven't faced a matchup that I didn't think I could beat.
Okay, well there you have it. For Pro Tour Player of the Year hopeful Brad Nelson, this is Pro Tour historian Brian David Marshall saying bye from Magic Weekend in Paris.